The Australian tractor market is dominated by three familiar badges that farmers finance at auction house interest rates without a second thought. Meanwhile, half a dozen genuinely capable machines sit quietly on regional dealer lots, ignored simply because nobody has heard the name before. The Tractor and Machinery Association of Australia tracks new tractor sales every month, and when you line those numbers up against independent dealer warranty data, the pattern is impossible to miss. 6 cheap tractor brands that almost nobody buys are quietly outworking machines that cost twice as much. We are counting them down, starting with a compact workhorse built in India that most farmers have never even test-driven. In 6th place, the FarmTrack range built by Escorts Kubota in India proves that a compact utility tractor does not need a premium badge to handle real farm work. FarmTrack uses the same basic hydraulic architecture found in tractors costing $20,000 more. A 3-point linkage system rated to lift close to 1,800 kilograms on the 45 horsepower models. Equipped mid-range FarmTrack tractors in the 50 to 75 horsepower bracket sell used in Australia for between $22,000 and $38,000 Australian dollars, according to listing data compiled by AgTrader in 2025. That is roughly half of what an equivalent Kubota M-Series commands on the same platform. FarmTrack backs every new unit with a 3-year, 3,000-hour transferable warranty, a figure that matches or beats several premium competitors. The known weak points are real and worth knowing before you buy. Hydraulic lift arm bushings tend to wear out around 2,200 operating hours, with replacement running close to $600 Australian dollars at an independent workshop. The dashboard instrument cluster on pre-2022 models has a documented failure pattern around 1,800 hours, costing roughly $420 to replace. Routine servicing every 250 hours costs around $180 through an independent diesel mechanic, well below dealer rates for the mainstream brands. Parts availability is the genuine limiting factor, with most components sourced through a single national importer rather than a wide dealer network. For hobby farmers and small acreage cattle operations, the FarmTrack quietly does the job of a machine twice its price, provided you are patient waiting on the occasional part. 5th place moves things up a size class entirely. In 5th place, the Branson range, originally built in South Korea by Kukchi Machinery and now manufactured under the TYM brand, has built a loyal following among small-scale broadacre farmers who need real power without the finance repayments of a mainstream brand. Branson tractors share major driveline components with larger Korean manufacturers, including a similar transmission casing to units used in machines costing $30,000 more. A 62 horsepower Branson with a cabin and loader sells used in Australia for between $28,000 and $41,000 Australian dollars, based on used machinery listings tracked through Farm Tender in 2025. Branson backs its range with a powertrain warranty, which independent dealers describe as generous for the price bracket. The known weak points center on 2 areas. The wet clutch packs on models built before 2021 show premature wear around 3,000 hours, with a rebuild costing approximately 1,100 Australian dollars. The rear PTO shaft seal is a documented leak point after roughly 2,500 hours, a repair that costs around $310 if caught early. Fuel efficiency sits around 11 liters per hour, under load at 75% throttle, competitive with tractors from far larger manufacturers. Branson's dealer footprint remains thin outside major regional centers, which means freight costs on major parts can add several days to any repair. For farmers running 200 to 500 acres of mixed cropping or grazing, the Branson delivers genuine broadacre capability without the badge premium, so long as you are not in a hurry when something breaks. 4th place is the brand most farmers have heard of, but almost nobody has actually driven. In 4th place, Kioti, the tractor division of South Korea's Daedong Corporation, has quietly built one of the strongest reliability records of any budget brand sold in Australia. Coyote shares its hydrostatic transmission design with the compact tractor lines used by several premium Japanese manufacturers. The same basic architecture found in machines with a far more expensive badge on the bonnet. Used Coyote tractors in the 50 to 60 horsepower range trade for between 31,000 and 45,000 Australian dollars. According to Grayson Line auction results from the past 18 months, every new Coyote in Australia carries a 4-year, 2,000-hour driveline warranty, among the strongest offered by any budget tractor brand at any price point. The known weak points are narrow but specific. Front axle king. Pin bushings on 4-wheel drive models wear out around 4,000 hours, with replacement costing roughly 720 Australian dollars. Early hydrostatic transmission models built before 2019 occasionally develop a hesitation under load, traced to a control valve that costs around $380 to replace. Routine maintenance intervals sit at 200 hours, with an independent workshop service costing around $160. Coyote's dealer network has expanded significantly across regional Queensland and New South Wales in the past 3 years, narrowing the parts availability gap that once affected the brand. For dairy and mixed livestock operations needing a reliable loader tractor, the Coyote delivers premium tractor dependability while still costing less than half of an equivalent mainstream badge. Third place belongs to a brand that outsells every other tractor manufacturer on Earth, just not in Australia. In third place, Mahindra holds the title of the highest volume tractor manufacturer on the planet by units produced, yet remains one of the most overlooked brands on Australian farms. The Mahindra driveline uses the same basic cast-iron transmission housing design found in tractors from manufacturers charging $25,000 more for a comparable specification. A fully equipped 50-horsepower Mahindra with a front-end loader sells used in Australia for between 24,000 and 36,000 Australian dollars, based on listings tracked by Farm Tender through 2025. Mahindra backs the range with a 3-year, 2,000-hour powertrain warranty, a figure that competes well in this price bracket. The known weak points include 2 recurring issues worth checking before purchase. The alternator on pre-2020 models has a documented early failure pattern, around 1,500 hours, with replacement costing approximately 340 Australian dollars. The rear differential seal is prone to weeping after around 3,200 hours, a repair that runs close to $290 if addressed promptly. Fuel consumption averages 9.5 liters per hour under moderate load, among the most efficient in this horsepower bracket. Mahindra's Australian dealer network is smaller than its global footprint would suggest, concentrated mainly around cropping regions in southern New South Wales and Victoria. For farmers running fencing, slashing, and general property maintenance on smaller acreages, the Mahindra offers a level of build quality that its modest reputation in Australia does not reflect. Second place has quietly become the tractor that Australian mechanics recommend to their own family. In second place, TYM out of South Korea has earned a reputation among independent tractor mechanics as one of the toughest transmissions in its class, despite remaining almost invisible on Australian dealer lots. TYM's transmission casing and gear set are manufactured to the same tolerances used in tractors from brands charging over $20,000 more for an equivalent specification. A 65 horsepower TYM with cabin, air conditioning, and loader sells used in Australia for between 35,000 and 49,000 Australian dollars, according to Elders auction data from 2025. TYM backs the range with a 3-year, 2,000-hour powertrain warranty, matched by very few brands at this price point. The known weak points are limited but specific. The 3-point hitch lift cylinder seals on models built before 2022 show a documented weep after around 2,800 hours, with replacement costing roughly 260 Australian dollars. The dashboard wiring harness connector near the fuse box has a known corrosion issue in coastal regions, costing around $190 to repair. Routine servicing every 250 hours runs approximately 170 Australian dollars through an independent workshop. TYM's Australian distributor has grown its dealer count by nearly 40% over the past 4 years, materially improving parts turnaround times. For farmers who value a transmission built to outlast the rest of the machine, the TYM offers mainstream brand engineering wrapped in a badge that almost nobody recognizes at the sale yards. And in first place, the brand that started this entire conversation. And finally, in first place, Solus has become the benchmark that every budget tractor brand in Australia is now measured against. A 75 horsepower Solus, fully equipped with a cabin, air conditioning, and front-end loader, sells used in Australia for between 40,000 and 60,000 Australian dollars. The nearest equivalent John Deere 5000 E-Series model, in comparable specification, commands between 43,000 and 87,000 Australian dollars on the same used market, according to combined listings from AgTrader and Farm Tender through 2025. That is a specification you would expect to pay close to double for, from a badge with a green and yellow logo instead of a red one. Solus backs every unit with a 5-year, 2,000-hour driveline warranty, among the strongest in the entire budget segment. The known weak points are narrow. The turbocharger wastegate actuator on pre-2021 models has a documented failure pattern around 3,500 hours, with replacement costing approximately 580 Australian dollars. The rear brake caliper pins can seize in dusty conditions after roughly 2,000 hours without regular greasing, a fix that costs around $140 if caught early. Fuel consumption sits at 10 liters per hour under load, competitive with machines from far larger manufacturers. Solus has expanded its Australian dealer network to cover every mainland state over the past 3 years, closing much of the parts availability gap that once limited budget brands. For farmers pulling implements, feeding stock, or running a loader all day, the Solus delivers a genuine premium tractor experience at roughly half the purchase price. And that gap alone explains why the brand's resale values have climbed steadily each year. Across all 6 of these overlooked tractors, one truth stands out. Badge recognition at the sale yard has almost nothing to do with how a machine performs in the paddock over 10,000 hours. The manufacturers with the smallest marketing budgets in Australia are consistently backing their machines with the longest warranties, because they know the engineering has to speak for itself. Sometimes the smartest purchase on the farm is the name nobody at the produce store has heard of. If this countdown changed the way you look at what is actually parked on your neighbor's dealer lot, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share it with anyone about to sign finance papers on a new tractor. Let us know in the comments which brand on this list you would